Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going on a bit of a grand adventure into the hidden and honestly pretty surprising origins of one of the world's absolute favorite comfort foods. We're literally unwrapping the epic global history of the dumpling. It's this incredibly fascinating journey that spans ancient empires, really treacherous trade routes, and thousands of years of human ingenuity. So I want you to picture your absolute favorite comfort meal right now, like really picture it. Is it a steaming plate of ravioli, or maybe it's some crispy pan-fried pot stickers, or a hearty bowl of pierogies? Look, we all have our go-to orders, right? But what's truly mind-blowing here is that these seemingly totally distinct, culturally separated dishes, well, they actually share a singular, ancient ancestral thread. They're literally all connected. Section 1. Ancient Origins in China. Okay, let's dive into this. To find the absolute first dumplings, we actually have to dig deep into the sands of the Tarim Basin in China. And archaeologists there uncovered something truly remarkable. 1,700 years. To put that into perspective, that's almost 2 millennia ago. That represents the age of the earliest physical evidence of dumplings ever found. But you know, what's truly fascinating isn't just the sheer age of this discovery, it's the fact that these incredibly ancient preserved dumplings look almost exactly like the crescent-shaped jiaozi that you and I can still order today. I mean, the design was basically perfect right out of the gate. Section 2. The Tender Ears Legend. So while the Tarim Basin gives us the hard archaeological evidence, the credit for actually inventing the dumpling usually goes to some pretty colorful historical folklore. Specifically, it goes back to a famous Eastern Han Dynasty physician named Zhang Zhongjing. He created what were called jiaoer, which translates to tender ears. And according to the legend, he didn't whip these up as some fun culinary experiment. No, it was actually an ingenious medical solution. Basically, during a particularly brutal winter, local villagers were suffering terribly from frostbitten ears. So he needed a highly efficient way to deliver medicine that would literally warm them up from the inside out. The absolutely crucial part here is how he formulated this cure. He took scraps of really rich mutton, mixed them with fiery chili, and some potent warming herbs, and then he wrapped it all up tightly in this neat little parcel of dough. He boiled these tender ears and fed them to the freezing villagers. So it was basically this ancient winter survival tactic specifically designed to stimulate blood flow. And well, as a very happy accident, it just so happened to taste absolutely incredible. Section 3. Traveling the Silk Road. Let's move on and see how this all builds. How do we get from a localized medical cure to a massive international phenomenon? Well, as trade really started to flourish along the Silk Road, merchants and travelers weren't just hauling silk and spices back and forth. They were carrying ideas. That simple, brilliantly effective concept of dough-wrapped fillings spread literally like wildfire. It fanned outward from China across Central Asia, pushed right into the Middle East, and eventually reached the borders of Europe. Just think about that. This single idea completely transformed the culinary world. Section 4. A World of Dumplings. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens next. Once that core concept hit different cultures, they immediately started adapting it using their own local ingredients and traditions. It's like a rapid-fire tour of global cuisine. Over in Central Asia and Turkey, we see the emergence of manti, which are these small spiced meat dumplings, usually served with yogurt and garlic. Then head up into Eastern Europe, places like Poland and Ukraine, and pierogi and vareniki become absolute staples. We're talking fillings ranging from hearty potatoes and cheese to tangy sauerkraut or even sweet fruit. And then down in Italy, right around the 14th century, ravioli and tortellini make their grand entrance. There are actually early manuscripts that describe them as, get this, little pieces of pasta filled with fresh herbs and cheese. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. But wait. There is an incredibly fascinating parallel across time and geography here that we have to talk about. Think back for a second to those Han Dynasty villagers, right? Using Zhang Zhongjing's medicinal dumplings to survive winter frostbite. Well, centuries later, and literally thousands of miles away, Siberian travelers in Russia were doing almost the exact same thing with their own variation, the pelmeni. These dumplings became absolutely vital travel rations, mostly because they could literally be buried and frozen in the deep snow and then quickly boiled over a quick campfire for instant warming energy. It's the ultimate ancient survival food, entirely reinvented for the frozen tundra. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this one thought. The next time you sit down to eat a plate of tortellini or maybe bite into a steaming jiaozi, will you taste the history of the world in a single bite? because it is just amazing to realize that what feels like a simple, completely localized comfort food is actually this ancient, highly interconnected story of human survival, global trade, and shared culture. Definitely keep that in mind the next time you're ordering takeout. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today, and as always, stay curious.